Ladies and gentlemen, we are here. Let me change the title. This is week 16, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay. That's what I thought. Hey, look. I see y'all saying that in the chat. Okay. Look, I have a long work week. I'm according to myself, I'm looking ahead of time. But it is what it is, whatever. But appreciate you guys for tuning in. I know there's a team playing right now. Nobody cares about, even though we're rolling the dice and trying to get San Fran to win this game. Tino is in here. FaZe. We got Waffle Pro. What's going on? How y'all doing? Marshmallow was in the chat earlier. But tonight I am joined by my guy Lucas. How are you doing?
You know what? I watched the first quarter of that game, and I'm feeling good about the Colts' chances to at least have an opportunity to win the division.
Yeah, man. I'm not gonna lie. Me too. I had that. I had that feeling before the game even started. I just knew that the Titans wasn't gonna, fully set or capable of winning this game. It's still a lot of time left, but I think the 49ers, after we play them, I feel like they're good enough to go out there and get this W. And I think they're on a win streak, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, both them and the Dolphins, which are the Titans' next opponents, have been on a really, really hot streak ever since the Colts played both of them. They've been playing lights out, and Titans have been slipping recently. They've only won one of the last four, and against some not really great teams for a good portion of that. So I don't know. They could lose those two if the Colts sweep out. The division is ours.
Yeah, man, it's true. You said the Niners are going to win. Yeah, it definitely looks like that.
It's a
We're
chance.
gonna we joined you guys here tonight to talk the Colts versus the Cardinals on Christmas Day. It's going to be a very big game. The Colts needs to win this. I mean, they don't have to necessarily, but we're trying to win out. We want to win all the games going into the playoffs. We want to be ready, focused, locked in. So, uh, we're going to go ahead and hop into it. But before we do that, let's talk a little Pro Bowl. We have the Pro Bowls go over. Our guy Kenny Moore got in. Congratulations to him. Luke Rhodes made it. We had some alternatives too. What were your thoughts about the Pro Bowl selections?
Well, the Colts are definitely very well represented. The most Pro Bowl nominees in this entire of every single NFL team. We got seven plus six alternates, which is really, really impressive all for the Colts. Uh, of the list, of course, the one that stands out is Kenny Moore. He has been the best slot corner in the NFL for about 4 years now, and he has not gotten any recognition in terms of Pro Bowls, All Pros, anything. So for him to finally get that has been really special, especially since about a month ago he was outside the top 15 in fan voting, and he's like, "Hey, is Colts Nation and the NFL really going to let me down again this year?" And I'm like, you know what? Colts fans are like, "We got you." Got him all the way up to fourth in fan voting, and of course the media and coaches and players they made their choices felt pretty well. He still was able to make it. Didn't quite get to the starter level, but as long as he makes it to the Pro Bowl, I'm really happy for him. So
Yeah, man, definitely. He actually got a gift from Tom Brady. They used to be part teammates in New England before they let him go. He when they played the Bucks, they did a jersey exchange and he wound up getting a gift. So that was pretty cool to see. But it's just a good feeling to know that everyone in the NFL and other NFL players know how good you are, and they show their appreciation. Even the fans, after we tried to push to bring back T.Y. Hilton in the offseason, we did another agenda of bringing in Kenny Moore to the Pro Bowl, which was pretty dope. He's still up for the Walter Payton Man of the Year award, so we got to push that note a little well as well. But Darius Leonard, an alternate is pretty shocking. Was Carson Wentz happens to be an alternate for the Pro Bowl game. How are your feelings on that?
I mean, I wasn't exactly like surprised, but I was just mildly shocked, I'd say. I mean, he's been playing as like one of the top eight or so, six maybe in the conference. So he was kind of like always at that borderline level, but I felt like there were a few other guys who might get in ahead of him, of course. And since he's an alternate, he might not even make it, but we'll see what happens. But it's definitely a really, really nice surprise for him.
Yeah, for sure. I seen Naheem Hines on there, Ashton Doolin. A lot of people wanted him over Luke Rhodes for the special teams part because Doolin plays a big part in that, and he's a good run blocker as well. But let's go ahead and hop into this Cardinals and Colts game. Big game, Christmas Day. I know everyone wants a Christmas gift from the Colts, which is a victory on Christmas night. It's going to be prime time. Everybody's going to be watching. There's a few things we need to take away. Injury reports is out there. There's going to be a few players missing. Rocky Sin will not be playing. That's what it looks like. It's probably the biggest piece of a loss that we're going to have. So let's go ahead and talk about the Cardinals offense. Arizona Cardinals offense can definitely somewhat put up some good production, even though they've been struggling as of late. I still feel like the Arizona Cardinals are being slept on by some Colts fans and other teams in the NFL just because they got smacked by the Lions. They must think that the game plan is going to flow and be the same for each team. But my personal feelings, I feel like even though they don't have the number one go-to guy in DeAndre Hopkins, I feel like which was the biggest part of us getting beat is the tight ends, and they have a very solid, decent tight end core, Zach Ertz and those other guys. How are you feeling about the Cardinals offense going into this game?
All right. Well, the Cardinals offense, it definitely has a lot of weapons, though, of course, they're a little shorthanded right now. I mean, they don't have DeAndre Hopkins. That's the big one. Rondale Moore did not participate the entire week and is currently entering into questionable, which he is there, of course, yards after the catch specialist. He is phenomenal in that role. Great rookie pickup for them to kind of add a different dimension to their offense. Besides that, though, they are still very deep at wide receiver. They got Zach Ertz, of course, who can be a pretty dangerous guy down the middle. And they have a good trio in terms of their rushing attack. They got Kyler Murray, of course, on the ground, who is dynamic. They have Chase Edmonds, he's got like a limited role, but he can kind of catch stuff out of the backfield. He can also be their running back, and he has like averaging 5.9 yards per carry. Very limited role there, though, but when he gets his touches, he's been very efficient with them. And then, of course, there's James Conner, who has been an absolute red zone short yardage beast. So it can be very tough to stop that rushing attack, on top of which they have some really good weapons even outside of DeAndre Hopkins, though he was, of course, the alpha who was kind of getting all the attention from the defenses. But they still got Christian Kirk, who is a very, very strong slot receiver. They got A.J. Green, who's kind of having a comeback year, and he's been really, really solid. So there's some options that they have. And so it's going to be tough for the Colts to be able to cover all of that, especially since they're shorthanded at corner with Rocky Sin out. But the Colts are also very well situated on the other side of the ball to try and keep up the scoring. So we'll see what happens in terms of who determines the game flow.
Yeah, for sure, man. Like I said, the Cardinals can definitely still put up some points. Even though I think James Conner's not going to be playing, he's pretty much anytime score when he's on the field. He's pretty solid. But when it comes to the Cardinals, I feel like one of the biggest problems with playing teams like this is the quarterback mobility to move around. And the Colts do still struggle with that, even though we've seen the pressure from the defensive line improve over the weeks. It still has been a big question mark, and I don't think we should underestimate the Cardinals' offense going into this game. Even though they lack talent, I feel like the next man up can definitely be a key for their success if they do something, because we don't really have game film on them. So definitely should not take that for granted. When it comes to this Colts offense, I think we all know what we need to do, which is pretty much run the football. Trying to get the offense involved in the passing game, I definitely would. I would like that, but I kind of like the secondary for Arizona, so I wouldn't be really risking the pass game against these guys. But definitely, what is your thoughts about the Colts offense going into this game?
Well, the Colts offense has definitely been on a roll right now. They are a top 10 unit as well. Same with the Cardinals, but they have found a very, very nice balance on offense. The running game has been phenomenal, led by Jonathan Taylor, of course, who is an MVP candidate. He may not be the front runner, but he's making a pretty damn good case that he should get some votes. They also got Naeem Hines, who is a phenomenal second running back and wide receiver kind of combo guy. But the best way to attack them is going to be the run game, because the Cardinals are 27th in yards per carry. They are not good there, though they are good in scoring defense against the run. But overall the run defense is not their strength. What their real strength is pass defense. They have some really, really good pass rushers. They got Marcus Golden and Chandler Jones as a really good edge combo. Uh, they got Jordan Hicks as well, who he's a pretty damn good interior presence as well. It can be tough to pass on them. Budda Baker is a phenomenal safety. Unfortunately, though, because of the loss of Patrick Peterson, their corners can be a little bit hit or miss at times. So there are chances that we can have to beat them in the passing game. They're kind of like a middle of the pack in terms of touchdowns and interceptions, though in yards per attempt and also in total yards, they are very, very stingy. So it's more so of we can beat them in the red zone rather than we can consistently drive down the field, most likely using the passing game. So I think there's going to be a really, really interesting battle between the Colts and the Cardinals. I think it might be a pretty high-scoring game because both teams can kind of beat each other a little bit in areas that, aren't exactly great. But I think our defense does have some interesting matchups against their offense as well. So I'd give us the edge overall.
Yeah, for sure. Colts offense definitely could put up points. I think they put up the most points in the Frank Reich era this year so far, which is pretty good. But we're going to be missing some talent on the offensive line. Big Mark is supposed to be ruled out this game. Also, Ryan Kelly, we know what happened with his family and everything. Praise up to him. He will not be playing. But we do have replacements. Chris Reed, the big guy, and I think Danny Penner are both going to be replacements. How are you feeling about the offensive line with everything going on against this Cardinals team?
Well, of course, in the passing game, I'm going to be worried about how the edges are going to do. I mean, Braden Smith can hold down his own, but someone's going to have Eric Fisher is going to have to block someone in pass protection, and that's not a good recipe. However, in the run game, though, with that interior, well, Mark Lewinsky has been a really, really solid player as well, and same with Ryan Kelly, of course. We do have some really good depth there, and the Cardinals are one of the worst teams on inside runs this season. So if there is a matchup that we can exploit despite our injuries, it's just running up the gut. And I think Jonathan Taylor could have a very, very strong game despite what's going on up front.
Yeah, definitely. The New England Patriots is one of those teams that was worse in interior run blocking as well. Run defending interior inside. So I think we can do the same thing. Pretty much almost this identical game plan, but last week we had a few drops. We'll be through the football, but if we can fix that error with the catches, I think the offense for the run game opens up even more if we completed some of those passes we didn't get last week. Some of them were on Carson, some of them were on the receivers as well. But if we can get that fixed going into this game, the run game will open up even more, which would be a bonus for the Colts. Now let's move over to this last topic, the Colts defense and the Cardinals defense. We already mentioned how good the Cardinals defense can be. We mentioned how many holes they can have. What up, bro? Appreciate you for stopping by. Jonathan, hello to you too. But the Colts defense has definitely been on fire for the last few weeks. I can give them that. And they've been more consistent as well, which is a huge bonus. We've seen Bobby Okereke and Darius Leonard both catch a pick last week against Mac Jones, who's pretty much a dink and dunk expert at this point, but they both did pretty decent in coverage. We still got some holes to fill out. But I think when it comes to this Cardinals defense, when it comes to this Colts defense against this Cardinal offense, and we've seen how the tight ends were used last week with Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith and those guys, how they are really, really, really solid. We've noticed how Corey Willis would come down and try to contain those guys when we got close to the end zone. I think we need to have a strategy like that this week. Now, of course, Sendejo is out with a concussion this week, so he wouldn't play. So now we're going to have George Odom. I think it'll probably have a even better chance of containing tight ends with George Odom back there. Not saying that he's absolutely better than Sendejo, because Sendejo's a good tackler. But George Odom, I think, is a way better ball hawk, and he can get those 50-50 balls that Sendejo couldn't get. What is your thoughts about this Colts defense against this Cardinal team?
Well, the most interesting thing that I think of when this matchup is happening is that the Cardinals offense, they love to do a lot of crossing routes and pick routes that really exploit man-to-man coverage. And while the Colts have been using some man-to-man coverage in more recent weeks, We all know their bread and butter is zone, and the Colts are very good at passing off those kind of routes when they're doing it. So ultimately, the Cardinals are going to have to change up their game plan a little bit. I mean, the Colts can really come down and wreak some havoc against their short yardage, middle of the field, and like screen game passing offense. So they're going to need to have to dial up some deep plays. They're going to have to get Kyler Murray out in space and scrambling. Colts defense is going to have a challenge, like trying to contain him, of course. Kenny Moore is great off the edge, blitzing as well to kind of help that. They got, of course, Darius Leonard, who is coming off of his defensive player of the week performance. He can also come down in and crash. It could be a very, very interesting matchup with that, like you said, the contain on Kyler Murray. I think they still will be able to have some like these crazy, insane plays that Kyler Murray can pull off. I mean, there are some times where the defense does exactly everything right schematically, and he still can make a play. You have to just accept that that's going to happen at least a few times. But at the same time, if you keep on giving him those kinds of pressure, sometimes those 50-50 plays are going to end up going into your favor as well. So you take the good with the bad with Kyler right now. He is a dynamic playmaker when he's at 100% and firing on all cylinders. Hasn't quite gotten there recently. And the Colts do have some really interesting matchups that they can exploit. Like you said, with Sendejo out, it does make it a little bit tougher, a little bit on our run game because of his crashing down, and he's been an absolute, like, the term that some people have used is a piss missile. He's just coming in and trying to wreck guys over the middle. But at the same time, he's had some pretty lackadaisical efforts at cover. There's been some blown assignments there. And George Odom is a little bit more rangy in that regard, and he hasn't been quite as over-aggressive in that. He's a little bit more of a ball hawk, like you said. So I think George Odom for this type of game is going to be a better matchup than what we needed from Sendejo. So ultimately, I'm going to be really excited to see what we can do against them, but it's going to be an interesting matchup.
Yeah, definitely. Rob, we seen your tweet about, well, we seen your comment about who you think is going to go off and everything. DJ Apco, what's going on? He says hello to you as well, Lucas. The final segment right now is going to be the key players to watch for this game. I'm going to let you go first. Who should we be looking out for in this game for both teams? You can give three players if you want.
Ooh, 3 for each team?
Yeah, sure, if you want. Yeah, it's up to you.
All right. For the Cardinals, the 3 ones that I'm going to say are Budda Baker. He can absolutely, if Carson is going to have some of these like deeper kind of routes that he's been trying to show off recently, he's going to have to throw it a little bit at Budda, and he's been phenomenal in the deep zones. That can be an interesting matchup to see if he can go up against Michael Pittman Jr. Whoever wins in those 50-50 ball matchups, they can make it into a giant touchdown or a pick. We'll see what happens in that regard. He's definitely one to watch. Also for the Cardinals, if James Conner does play, because he is dealing with a heel injury, in those short yardage situations, he is an absolute game wrecker in terms of he gets those tough nitty-gritty yards, especially red zone. He is one of the best in the league right now in touchdowns. So if he plays, the Colts defense is going to have to really, really be gap disciplined against him, and especially in short yardage situations. And then, of course, I'm going to have to say that the biggest mismatch is going to be whoever lines up on the left side going up against Eric Fisher, whether it's Marcus Golden or it's going to be Chandler Jones. I know that's kind of a cop-out. I did 4 instead of 3. Don't roast me in the comments. But whoever is lining up on that side when the Colts are passing, it's an immediate mismatch. Eric Fisher, of course, he can wreck guys in the run game, no question about it, but his anchor has been terrible this year, and that's definitely, if we're falling behind and we're in a situation where we need to throw, he's going to have a hard time going up against those guys. And so on the other side, for the Colts, players to watch, Jonathan Taylor, we all know he's going to be fed quite a lot, and at this point, it's very predictable that he will be fed. How are the how are they going to try and stop him? Are they going to try and bring as much safety boxes as they can? Are they going to try and do some 5-man lineups against them, trying to stack up the middle of the field, trying to stop the duo blocks? So Jonathan Taylor, he's going to dictate the entire game plan for the Cardinals in trying to stop him. Also for the Colts, Kari Willis as well. He is going to be very vital in terms of him coming down and being able to make sure that he can be that essential guy in the middle of the field, both in deep plays and also in like the mid zones, and also going up against the run. He's going to have a very big role. And of course, I got to say the Kenny versus Christian Kirk matchup is going to be very, very interesting to watch in the slot. I mean, Kirk has been very, very strong route runner. He's a very elusive guy, but Kenny's a beast. And so with DeAndre Hopkins out, they're going to try and rely on Christian Kirk through the air. And we'll see how they do going up against Kenny, which I don't think that might be a winning matchup.
Yeah, man, it's definitely going to be interesting matchups. I was seeing in the chat, seeing a lot of DeForest Buckner, Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman Jr. One of my key players, a few you guys already mentioned, but one was going to be Isaiah Rodgers to see if he can step up and fill the void of the loss of Rocky Sin not being available. Can he actually step up, even though we got some good supplements, with Xavier Rhodes and TJ Carey and those guys? But Isaiah Rodgers would definitely be the biggest question mark because he's stepping into a bigger role. He's going to be seeing some more minutes. He's going to be on the field a lot. So it's going to be looking forward to seeing how he's going to play. I know he's going to be mentored and guided throughout the whole game with Kenny Moore on his side and everyone else surrounding him. I think he's going to have himself a good game. The one thing that can have him explode this game is if the pass rush shows up. If the pass rush shows up and it forces Kyler Murray to make some type of pass he does want to do, Isaiah Rodgers is quick enough and he's good enough to go get the ball and force a turnover. So I'm definitely looking forward to see how Isaiah Rodgers is going to play this game. Another person that key factor I'm looking forward to seeing is if the tight end group is going to get involved. If Mo Ali Cox can have some type of production in this game. He's been struggling recently, but when we got to the red zone, he has not shown up. Can he show up this week on Christmas Day if we go and target him again?
Yeah, I agree.
We see the chat. You was about to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, Mo Ali Cox is an absolute X factor. He has been hit or miss. That drop against the Patriots loomed very large toward the end of the game. So, I mean, he's got to come down with those. With those size hands, he can single-handedly catch a ball with ease. Like, here's palming it. So, come on. Don't let it get through you. You got those really key situations in the red zone. Come down with the ball. Please, Mo. Please.
Yeah. Also, yeah. And the last one, it's not Carson Wentz. It's not Jonathan Taylor. It's Byron Murphy. Are we going to target Byron Murphy? Byron Murphy has secretly, silently had himself a good season. Under the radar, pretty good at what he does. I don't know about targeting him. I remember when we played the Patriots, one of my things was not to target J.C. Jackson. We really didn't do that. He pretty much had Michael Pittman Jr. Clamped up, even though we didn't really target him. But I don't think it had anything to do with that. I think we just understood the assignment and didn't try to force the hand of, trying to make something happen. So, I think it's going to be the same thing with Byron Murphy Jr. I don't think we should really go out there and try to force anything when he's surrounding that area of the field. What up, Daquan? How you doing, man? I appreciate you. You just can't for this game? Yeah. Somebody give me the score or how it is looking right now for San Fran and Tennessee, if you don't mind. Wentz needs to be Superman. Don't ever abandon run. Oh, he doesn't need to be Superman. Yeah, no. Definitely don't need that to happen. But, yeah, we're looking forward to this game, man. I appreciate you for joining me tonight, Lucas, for this game preview. I'm going to let you guys enjoy the rest of your night. I'm going to let him get some sleep. Lucas, where can they find you before we get up out of here?
Well, besides my bed, they can find me, of course, at Robbins Lucas on Twitter. They can also find me on thebluestable.com, where we are producing some phenomenal content right now. We're trying to get some pregame articles coming out. Honestly, it's been a really great journey throughout the season covering the Colts, and I know that the writers staff has been absolutely excited to try and see what we can do towards the end of the season. So thank you guys as always for having me on. Appreciate having you, Marcus. So I'll see you around, man.
Yes, sir. All right, let me get the score predictions in the comment section. The Colts and Cardinals Christmas Day. Let me know the score predictions. Lucas, I see one already. DJ Abcool said 38-24 Colts win. Let me get your score prediction.
Ooh. I think it's going to be a higher scoring game. I think the Colts can get 31 on the Cardinals. And on the flip side, I think the Cardinals are going to have a tough time early on. Of course, the Colts defense has been really, really good early games, but I don't know if we can truly contain them for all 4 quarters. We have been kind of inconsistent at that regard. So I think they make a late surge, try and make it a game, and I think they make it. I think they score 24 points. You know, they get it within a touchdown. So okay. 31-24.
All right. So 38-24. Rob says good content. Appreciate you. Brian came in and said 31-7. Rob says 27-23. We got a 31-23 Colts. I'm going to go on the verge of saying 31-17 Colts win. I think the Cardinals can put up 17, but I don't really know. They're missing a few targets. I mean, Kyler's going to have himself. He's going to have himself a game. I already know Kyler's just a beast. But Cliff and this team has not seen eye to eye. Looking at that Detroit game, I feel like the defense is going to be one of the reasons why they struggle. But I know the offense can do something. But I think they're going to struggle on Christmas Day. So I'm going to go 31-17 Colts. Big victory. It's going to be a very good night for Colts fans. Like I said, my score prediction will not be any slander towards Cardinals fans. If you got the Cardinals winning, I totally understand. This game can go either way. It's just a personal experience, what we can probably expect. No, it's a good phase. We just going with score predictions. We're about to get up out of here. But we appreciate you guys for tuning in. If you're watching this post-stream, appreciate you for tuning in as well. Hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Please follow Lucas on all his platforms that he is on. You don't do score predictions. Fair enough. Yeah, don't do it if when you do that happens. Please don't. But appreciate everyone for tuning in. This is Marcus. That's Lucas. I did it right this time. And until next time, happy holidays. I will not be streaming on Christmas Day. Everyone spend time with your family. I will probably go live the day after or on Monday. But you guys spend your time with your family or whoever you're with, your loved ones. Enjoy the holiday. And appreciate you guys for tuning in. You've been culture shocked.